If you don't have a border, you don't have a country. And by that standard, you should be very concerned about what's happening along our very long frontier with Mexico, our southern border. Fox's Bill Melugin has been down there for quite some time doing outstanding reporting. He just shot this footage from the Mexican border.
Our drone video showing a massive group of illegal immigrants being held by Border Patrol under Ángel Duas Bridge. It's the largest group we have ever seen in all of our trips to the border. We're talking at least 1,000 people. As Border Patrol sources tell us, more than 8,000 illegal immigrants were apprehended just here in the Rio Grande Valley alone over the weekend. Sunday night in La Jolla, we came across this large group of more than 200 migrants who turned themselves into Border Patrol. Many of the migrants were visibly coughing as COVID-19 cases continue to surge amongst the migrant population here in the Rio Grande Valley, a more than 900% increase just in the month of July.
Well, thanks to a man who recently retired after decades at ICE, a man called Thomas Feely, we are learning much more detail tonight about how the Joe Biden administration has enabled this, what you just saw on the screen. Thomas Feely was in charge of removal operations at ICE's Buffalo field office. He retired just this Saturday after 25 years with the agency. Here's part of his farewell email. Quote, "With the current administration doing everything they can to cripple enforcement and removal operations, endangering the American public, and not enforcing the laws passed by the Congress, I don't want to be part of that." Thomas Feely joins us for his very first interview since leaving ICE after 25 years. Mr. Feely, thanks so much for coming on tonight. This could be a much longer conversation, and I hope that we'll have it. But sum up for our viewers, thank you for coming, if you would, why you left and what you saw in the last 6 months under this administration.
Well, there's a fine line, Tucker, between telling people we're not breaking the law and not enforcing it and being okay with that. What's going on right now on the border, like you mentioned, it's wide open. It's so bad right now that the Border Patrol isn't even processing illegal aliens, who many are COVID positive, I might add, and sending them into the interior of the United States with a phone number that they're supposed to call. And then ICE officials are supposed to reach out to them and process them over the phone and not even in person.
So it sounds like the federal government, the White House, the government of the United States of America is encouraging violations of the law. The government is encouraging foreign nationals to break our laws. That's what you're describing, it sounds like.
Right. And then, some ICE officials will tell you, well, the Biden administration isn't telling us to break the law, but they're definitely telling you not to enforce it. So, if that's what you're going to split hairs on, we're pretty much screwed as a country going down this road.
Yeah, that's a distinction without a difference, absolutely, for sure. How quickly did this policy change after Joe Biden became president in January?
Pretty much the next day. What's happened now, and every administration that does this, they hire their own people. But with the Biden administration, I've never seen it before, where they went out and directly hired NGOs to come and be part of DHS and ICE. And I've got the emails where one NGO still out in the field contacts their buddy at headquarters and says, hey, we want this guy released, and they make it happen. They totally cut out the field office directors in the field, the law enforcement professionals. They're cutting us out, and they're letting people go that do not need to be released in the United States.
So just to be clear, an NGO, a non-governmental organization, is a nonprofit effectively subsidized by U.S. taxpayers, but they're not federal employees. Since when do people who don't work for the federal government get to make federal policy? Like what? Well,
yeah, and here's an example. I had a case who the guy was a convicted arsonist, and they called me and said, hey, Mr. Feely, one of our criteria is if the guy hasn't been arrested in the past 10 years, we need to let him go, and we'd like you to release them. And I said, I totally get what you're saying, but what you need to understand, he's been in prison for 12 years. That's why he hasn't been arrested. And the answer I got was, we don't really care. He hasn't been rearrested in 10 years. Whether he was in prison currently or not, you need to release him. And I had to cut him loose.
Yeah. This is really sick. And I appreciate your bravery coming on tonight. Thomas Feely, after 25 years at ICE. I hope we see you again. Thank you.
Thanks, Tucker. I appreciate being on and having the opportunity to talk about the good work and what the men and women of ICE are not being allowed to do.
Yeah, what a tragedy for them. And thank you for making that point. Thanks. Thomas Feely.
Thanks, Tucker.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.